while everyone was playing like Foursquare, while everyone was playing like Foursquare and tag, I was eating flowers, and
I was eating flowers.
I'm not kidding.
There
was like a specific flower that like
buttercup.
Yeah, I was eating the buttercups. Yeah, I was eating the buttercup flowers because I heard that they tasted good, and then I kept eating them, and I'm like, yeah, they're all right. They're not too bad. Like, hello, and welcome back to Bleat This. Welcome to episode 6. I am your host, Luke Guilday.
I'm your co-host, Hickey.
And in today's episode, we're going to go back in time a little bit, so to speak, and, go back to our humble youths. You're on the playground, right? It's recess time. What game are you going to go to first? That's the topic of this episode today. My game of choice is Gaga Ball.
My game of choice is tag.
And we're going to go, into detail about that. So join us on this journey as we talk about our favorite playground games and maybe more. As always, Ty, how about you start things off for us?
I always had a lot of fun in tag when I was little. Now, I didn't know this till high school, but the children at my school were a little bit afraid of me.
Oh, okay.
So tag was a lot of fun, especially when I was the tagger, because I was one of the fastest little boys running around that schoolyard.
Okay.
So, if I was not the tagger, I was good. I would see them and I would stand in the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
And if they got too close, I would run in the other direction. And they couldn't catch me. And if I was chasing them, I would catch them. And we played a variation when the Jurassic Park movies came out, where some of us were dinosaurs, the taggers.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very much fun. I remember we used to run around like this because they only have 3 fingers.
Yeah, I like that.
That was fun, and they always picked me to be the Velociraptor, and I would always get them.
You were the fastest one, so you were kind of like you were the king of the
yes.
the playground.
As far as
so
I
to
remember,
speak.
people definitely did catch me, but most of the time I would outrun people because I've always been very fast.
Okay, yeah, for me, with Gaga Ball, actually, I will admit, I didn't play it at school. I played it at summer camp. I know, controversial. I will say, I did fancy a game called Squeeze the Lemon. You ever hear about Squeeze the Lemon?
I've never in my life.
And no, so you're not actually taking a lemon and squeezing it and see what happens. It's where everyone tries to pile into the slide at once, and if you're at the bottom of the slide, you try to stay on, and if you're at the top of the slide, you try to push everyone down the slide. It was called Squeeze the Lemon, and you wanted to stay on the slide as much as possible. And that's what I imagine started a lot of claustrophobia for a lot of young minds out there. We played that actually a little bit at a summer camp that I went to, but more importantly, we played Gaga Ball, and that's where I think true competition started as a young lad, because it's just like when you're out, it's the most like you're just so defeated. Like
yes.
it's the worst feeling, but when you win, you're running on that high. It's so good. It's so good.
Gaga Ball, I played a little bit in my youth. I think a total of 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
My family would go camping every single summer, multiple times, like pretty much every single weekend, every single summer until we got older. Unfortunately, of my mom's friends, I was one of the younger kids. Mm-hmm. There are 2 of the children in the family friend's family. 2 of them are younger than me. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Well, 3. 3 are younger than me, but one's younger by like a year. The others are younger by like 5 years. Mm-hmm. So when I started getting older, all of the other kids were adults. Like they were adults going to college.
Okay.
Now they have their own children type deal. So we did it less when I was older. But something that was really nice about camping is one campground had a Gaga pit. And I was just like, hey, random child who's also doesn't know anybody here because your parents also brought you here for the weekend. What is this game? Random little boy taught me how to play Gaga Ball. I got out right away. And then we went again, and it was a lot of fun. But we needed a Gaga Ball pit.
Okay.
Versus tag, I played at every single campground I've ever gone to. We would go to Mom, Dad, we're going to the park. We'd run down to the park because strangers danger doesn't exist in a campground, obviously. And then we would play tag because you just find kids and you go, you want to play tag? And they're all like also 8 years old.
Mm.
And then you all play tag together, which was great too because you could hide. There's so many variations of tag.
That's the second. Yeah, that's the hidden rule they don't tell you about.
Is you don't have to run the whole time. You can just wait until they get like I would stand in the middle of a field, and then I could also hide behind a tree. I think one time we were playing tag with the neighbors had like their family over. Our backyards are big at my hometown, so over the 2 backyards there's a lot of space. My backyard is mostly a field, and we were in the trees, and I was like, okay, this kid who's like 5 years older than me, like he's basically almost 18, but you know, I was 13, whatever. Sometimes you play with kids that are older like that. And I was like, okay, he's kind of trashing after me. And I went out into the field, and I just sprinted, and I got away from him.
Mm-hmm.
And then later he was like, you know, when you went into the field, I thought I was going to catch you because I'm faster with open space. And then you were just gone. Mm-hmm. And that gave me a high that I kept on going until I joined track and field.
Here's the thing. Gaga ball, you don't have to do a lot of running. See, mainly what you got to do is you got these 2 hands, and you got to punch a ball. If you're ever playing soccer and you thought to yourself, you know, I've got these feet that can easily extend and hit the ball. Why don't I just punch it instead? and this time, instead of running around, I'm going to be in a hexagon wooded fence with wood chips on the ground, and I'm going to punch the ball at other people.
Ours had dirt.
Yours had dirt? Ours had
at the campground. I haven't seen the one. At my place of work, there is a Gaga ball pit. So I have said to you, well, come on, I'll swipe you into work. And then we could go play in the Gaga ball pit. I have not checked what's inside of that thing. Do you know how many times I have been in the outdoor portion of the pool? Twice.
More than once.
Yes.
And no more than, not even close to thrice. Don't even think about it.
During our training for outdoor rescues. Because we all have to do training monthly, and we were going outside because the weather was nice. And we were getting ready for the guard games. To which that's a childhood game for the majority of my coworkers. I am 21 years old, and I'm one of the older lifeguards. I will say about half of them are younger than me, if not more. That was fun.
Yeah, I wish that, like, because I really only ever played Gaga ball when I was, like, little, again, like, at this summer camp. It wasn't really a thing that I saw. I mean, I lived by, like, a public pool that had a Gaga ball pit, and I would play there occasionally. But, yeah, it was mainly at this summer camp. And I distinctly remember, because, like, it was, like, a summer camp where it was, like, it was like normal kind of school for like from like 8 until 11 a.m. and then afternoon activities. So like, you know, outside stuff like that. I remember one day there was like a zip line day, which was pretty cool. I could tell there's a story with that one. But there was one day actually about this summer camp that I wanted to wait to tell you this story because I thought you would like it. So there was one day where we had to do like an obstacle course kind of thing. And we had to take turns as, you know, I think I was in like first grade maybe.
Just a baby.
Just a wee little baby.
I was so much older than you in second grade.
Yeah, a year older. And I remember there was this one part where it was like it was a woodsy area. And I remember there was one part where there was a long tube. There was like a long tube that you could...
Like those dog competitions.
Yeah, and you would crawl in it. However, it was held by chains that were connected to like branches on a tree. And I remember it was like long. Like it was like a long tube.
I wonder how long it would be if you went to look at it now as an adult.
Probably... I don't know, because it fit, like, the thing is that, like, they had, like, one kid go in after another, and they would have one kid hop out another, like, it just felt like a
train.
It just felt like a system going on. And so there were, like, 10 of us in there at a time, and I remember being in the exact middle, and there was one kid, like, I was in the exact middle, and there was one kid that started crying in the front. and he didn't want to get off.
Oh, no.
And so I was stuck in the middle, just being like worried that like this might be it. This might be my last breathing moments. I couldn't look behind me. It was dark. I couldn't look in front of me. It was pitch black. And I thought to myself, this is where it might be it. This is where I might not make it home. Like I accepted my fate in that moment. Like, and I think I started crying because I was just like
I'm gonna die.
Yeah, because this kid would not jump off. And granted, it was not even like they didn't have to make a jump or anything. They just had to climb out of it and onto the ground. It wasn't held up higher than like the table. Like they could have
That
just
could be really high for a child.
for like.
Do you know how many kids I've had to desperately get to jump in water?
I suppose
They're terrified of anything new without, like, sometimes they're so like to the point of almost getting themselves hurt. Like, we have to, when I teach swim lessons, we would get the kids to jump into the water. Some of these kids are so afraid to jump into the water that they'll just get to the edge and just let their feet go out from under them, which means they almost hit their head on the side of the pool.
Okay.
So when they're like that, and I'm lifeguarding them, I stand behind them, ready to put my hand between their head and the wall.
Oh, okay.
Or to push them, which is scarier once, and then safer. Because some kids, they get so scared.
I see. Well, eventually this kid got off. I mean, there were counselors there that was helping him get off, and then I started to see I quite literally saw a light at the end of the tunnel, and I knew I was gonna make it out. I knew I would make it out alive that day. But yeah, I mean, really, for the most part, like Gaga Ball is pretty much all I remember of just like. Do you remember the rules, right? Where it's just like
don't touch the wall. If it hits below your knee,
well, you start off on the wall. Like you start off on the wall, and then the ball's in the middle. Everyone runs up to it and tries punching it. And if you punch it, and if it hits you, I think it couldn't be waist or higher.
We did knees or below.
That's what I'm. Okay, yeah,
like
we
if
had
it
like
hit knees and below, you're out.
We had thigh and below. Like if it hit that, then you're out. And then yeah, you would have to hop out. And there's something about it being like the final 4 or final 3 in a group of like 15 to 20 that just makes it so stressful because you're like, this could make or break my entire social career at this summer camp in this one moment. Like this could either be big. I could either be literally walking home with pride, or it would be stuck in that Gaga Ball pit for the rest of time.
I'll say I think there was also smaller children when I was playing.
Oh, okay.
Like I was definitely like twice the height of some of the little kids.
Well, we definitely had it was a range, like an age range of like it was no greater than like 4th grade to like 1st.
Yeah, the little boy who was running it, some of them were like kindergartners first. I was like a middle schooler, like young middle schooler, but like. I think the kid that was like making the rules didn't want the ball to get too high, hit like a little one in the face. So I think that's why we had knees down.
Oh, okay.
That's the rules.
That's
I knew.
fair.
Those were like the only times I ever.
Yeah,
played.
it definitely felt like especially if you were a 1st grader and you were one of the final 3 up against like 2 4th graders, like that was big. That was big news. Like there was like I just don't understand though like why they even like. Had that like I guess it should have been like maybe separate times of like okay 1st and 2nd graders and then 3rd or 4th graders. Like I feel like you could see an obvious disadvantage here. Like there was actually this little side thing. Did you have like pep rallies in high school?
Yes.
Yeah, there was. I remember it would have been my freshman year of high school. My brother would have been a senior, and then one of my cousins also went to the same high school, and he would have been a sophomore at the time. I remember, like, we were all in the gym. It was, like, each bleachers section was a different grade, so all the grades were in. I remember we had our pep rally, and, like, halfway through, they were throwing, like, pennies up in the air, where it was, like, if you caught one, like, oh, wow, like, you caught one. And I managed to, like, me and this other kid were, like, grabbing it at the same time, and I yanked it out of his hand completely. And
the most competitive moment of your life.
I know, and I actually was like, I felt so good. I'm like, oh my god, like I did it. I finally did it.
I win.
But then, later on, they're like, if you caught one of the pennies, come down to the gymnasium in front of everybody. And I'm like, maybe I should have let him have this, because as a child with social anxiety, this was quite possibly a nightmare. So I went down, and they decided, and they threw it to every grade, and they decided, okay, let's have a game of dodgeball, freshmen and sophomores versus juniors and seniors. I want you to ask me how you think that went.
Did the juniors and seniors win?
Yes, and more importantly, so we had to play in front of the entire school, all the teachers, all the students, everybody. The way they had it was that it was like, a square boundary, and would you believe it? And they had.
I don't know what a square is actually.
So it's what a triangle is?
No. I know what a pentagon is.
You know what a pentagon
and
is?
And a hexagon.
Okay, a pentagon, remove one side, but it still connects.
Trapezoid.
Close enough. Rhombus. Close enough. So they had each team on either side, and then the dodgeballs in the middle. You had to run into the middle, then run back, and then you could play. Someone blew a whistle. We ran into the middle and back. I turned around. A dodgeball was coming at my face at 30 miles an hour. And immediately, straight to the dome. Straight to the dome. I was out frame one.
They let you do headshots?
Yeah. I was out frame one, and that was in front of the entire school. And I'm like, okay, that's my reputation for an entire year. So that's where it's like, there has to be some boundary. And I felt the same with Gaga Ball, where it's like, obviously for the most part, a fourth grader was going to win unless they decided to give the win to a first or second grader.
Unless that first grader is just athlete of the year.
Yeah.
Because some of these little children that I teach how to swim are better swimmers than I am.
Mm.
I'll be teaching how to swim, and I'm correcting little things, and then I go and swim, and I'm like, how can I not do what this 5-year-old is doing right now?
Mm.
Crazy.
Now hear me out. I know tag, but did you ever change the rules a bit? Did you ever do a little bit of freeze tag here and there?
We did do freeze tag. Now I'm drawing from my kind of college adult life right here. In rugby, when we do touch, it's essentially rugby tag, and that's when we don't want to do tackling and risk injuries and all that.
Okay.
And we were doing a training session with the Parma Zebras in Parma, Italy, and they had us do freeze tag, where you could unfreeze people by rolling through their legs.
Huh.
So you would get tagged, and you'd stand with your legs open, so some could go through your legs, and there was taggers, and they kept adding taggers because the people running away were just too successful. And
did you ever think that your practice as a young child would ever contribute to being in Italy playing freeze tag? Do you ever think you saw yourself in that moment when you were playing tag on the playground, being like, you know what, when I am 21,
never
I'm gonna make sure that I play freeze tag in Italy.
I never thought of that because I didn't know what Italy was in elementary school. In elementary school, I was a dumb child. I thought that there was one language because I didn't think about it. Crazy how now I speak multiple languages, but at the time, I would watch Teen Titans. And sometimes the theme song would be in Japanese, and I just thought I couldn't understand English that day. I was like, no, I literally was just like, oh, I guess I just can't understand them today.
Oh, man. I mean, to be fair...
There was recurring characters on Teen Titans that spoke Spanish only, and I was just like...
To be fair, wasn't it
I can't understand them. This is so weird.
Wasn't it a common thing for kids to think that strawberry milk came from pink cows or something like that? Or
I remember being
chocolate
told
milk came
that.
from brown cows? And I saw a statistic a little while ago where there's still 2% Americans that think that or something, that chocolate milk comes from brown cows or something.
I remember being told that more than actually thinking that, because I think adults are just think it's so funny that kids think that they tell the kids about it, and then I, a child who didn't think that, was like, okay.
Okay.
I was a weird kid, but that's okay.
I'm actually, I'm trying to think, I definitely thought some stupid stuff when I was a kid, but I'm trying to think of,
Would you also add Manhunt to tag? because it's essentially hide and seek tag.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. Again, with the campgrounds, we would go in at Fridays, and then when I was younger, like 12, 13, pretty much all the kids were. I was the youngest of that group of children, but we were all like teenagers basically. Like I think I was like 11, 12. I was the youngest, and there'd be enough of us that we would just be like, okay, guys. Manhunt across the entire campground, and because it was Friday, and most
that's
people,
awesome.
Most
That's amazing, actually.
Most people roll up on Saturdays, so there was like plenty of space where we wouldn't be running through people's like used lots. I forget what they were called, slots, camping spots. And I remember distinctly we were playing it, and me and my cousin, we were like, okay, we're gonna hide under my camper, which the steps to our door of that camper. That was the timeout when you get caught, and you can tag people out.
Okay.
So we hid under there, and then the person hunting would catch somebody, bring them back there, sit them down, and then they would turn around, and we'd tag them in from under the camper.
Oh, okay.
And then they'd run away, and they'd be like, what? And they never caught on that we were under the camper the whole time, because eventually we were
would
okay.
Would you say you gaslit them in a sense?
That's not a real word. Stop making stuff up.
Go on.
Stop making up words, Luke.
I'm sorry, my co-host. Go on.
It's okay, my co-host.
It's okay, my co-host.
So, eventually we just were like, they're going to catch on eventually. And we left before they could figure it out. And then the next night, same thing. Except people were there because it was Saturday and complained about us.
Well, I remember, another version of that, at least when I was, if it was a nice summer's night, and, if it was, at a house or something, we'd play Ghost in the Graveyard, which was, there's one spot where everyone is, you have to count to 24, but you're saying, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock until midnight, and the ghost is hiding somewhere, and your goal, as everyone else, is to do a full loop around the house back to the spot that you're starting at. And if you ever see the ghost hiding, you have to yell "Ghost in the Graveyard," and then the person that's the tagger has to tag somebody. But if you make it back to that one spot, you're safe. If you do a full loop. But people would always mess up the rules. They'd see the ghost, and then they'd turn back around, and that's not how I do things here, okay? We're running a tight ship when we're playing Ghost in the Graveyard, and you do not mess with me in Ghost in the Graveyard, all right?
I think we as adults need to play Ghost in the Graveyard.
No, you know what we need to do as adults? Play sardines. Playing sardines. Do you not know what sardines is?
No.
It's reverse hide and seek, so there's everyone the one person is hiding and everyone else is a seeker. And so everyone else has to find where the hider is. If you find the hider, you have to hide with the hider until there's one person left that is a seeker. It's so good. It's so good. I love sardines.
That is good, but I will admit to you now that I'm too big to climb trees. Most of my hiding spots that I would pick in my youth is I would climb up a tree, and I'd stay there for a long time, long time. So I would have to stay on the ground for that, and then my second choice would be in the back of the bushes, and my cousins would never find me. I love my cousins. I couldn't tell them if they had beetles in their hair because they would start screaming their heads off. Oh. They were not going in the bushes.
No, but you would be up in the trees regardless.
I'd be up in the trees, and then I'd be watching them. They'd be looking for me, and I'd be really high up in a tree because I was fearless.
Oh, okay.
Really high up in the tree, fearless, dumb, I say. Because I had fallen out of a tree and gone to the hospital in my youth.
Oh, Jesus.
And I still climbed up higher.
Oh, my God.
All I learned is don't lean on dead branches.
That's fair, I would say.
I didn't know that, and I fell out of a tree.
See, I climbed a tree once when I was little.
Another reason tag is better. No one's climbing trees and falling onto a fence.
See, I climbed a tree once when I was little, and it was my neighbor's yard, and they have a really big tree, a really tall tree, and a lot of branches. And I remember one time I climbed it, and I climbed pretty high up, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then I climbed back down, and then I went home, and I had a bunch of sap in my hair. I didn't realize it.
You said a bunch of branches. Was it a pine tree?
I think yes.
It had to be a pine
It had
tree.
to be, yeah. I think it was.
I hate sticky things. So when I was a child, I would avoid pine trees.
See, I was a fearful child. I was not a fearless child. I climbed a tree once and said, "All right, I think I'm good for the rest of my life." I was inside at any given point. You catch me on a video game, like I was content. That's all I needed. I'd come home, have a snack, do a bit of homework, and then I said, "All right, games until bed." That's all I needed.
Westchester University women's rugby fans, I hope you are excited. We have one more tournament before we go to nationals this spring. Our Golden Rams are going to travel to Princeton University to take on Princeton in the Emperor Sevens. Other teams there will probably include Navy and Penn State. Some very good competition for our players. After a 2-week break where the players are going to be working very hard to provide a good rugby experience for anyone that wants to watch, they will travel down to Washington, D.C. to compete in the Collegiate Rugby Championships for the second year in a row. Last year, the team performed very well, and they're looking to perform even better this year a second time around. Tune in either on the stream with the National Collegiate Rugby or in person, Washington, D.C. Sports Complex. It's all there on National Collegiate Rugby's Instagram. Check it out. It'll be a great event. There were children at my work, and the lane lines were out of the shallow pool, and they were trying to play a little game, the 4 of them, and I was like, "Hey, have you guys played this game called Colors?" Because the way that the pool was being used for a class in one end left the other end very available for them to play Colors.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I was like, "Do not step forward, though. You stay right there." Because no running on the pool deck. Now, at my house, we would play Colors, and we would make you walk all the way to the fence if you turn around that many times.
Oh, okay.
Because liability, you're at our house. You're my brother. You're not going to sue us.
There was always that one kid, though, whenever playing Colors, that would pick, like, metallic purple or something, where it's like, of course the person that's standing, like, just naming out colors, like, is not going to think of, like, plastic green or something.
Our argue point, we would limit it.
Okay.
Like, from the beginning, we would be like, what's our topic? Colors? Okay, Roy G. Biv, or red, orange, yellow, blue, green, purple.
Okay.
Like,
and then
we'd add maybe like teal.
Oh, okay.
Or pink, but we would like rainbow colors.
There was like another game, like I forget what it was called, but like
we would also do colors with animals.
Oh, okay.
But we would specify African animals.
Okay.
Or house or pets.
Oh, okay. I like that, like kind of just switching up, like I guess the topic, but it's the same game. There was.
I'll tell you, man. My baby cousins. They're not babies. My little cousins. Babies in my heart. Forever 11. My little cousin. He's 18 now. But anyway.
Man, we're old. Being 21 and all that.
I kid you not. They would come over to our house most summers, and like, my shot of, oh my gosh, I'm really getting old, is when they stopped coming over.
Oh, okay.
Because they would come over every single day. I'm not even exaggerating.
Oh, wow.
Like, my aunt would drop, because we had a pool.
Mm.
And it was the summer, and we didn't have classes, and like, one of my parents was home pretty much all the time, because they worked opposite shifts, so it was
sure.
like...
There was always a parent home.
There was always a parent home at ours, and we had a pool.
Mm-hmm.
Send them to go with their cousins and swim around. So we saw each other every single day, and I love them to death. I do.
Mm.
But we had to come up with some new rules for us.
Yeah, there was one game that I know it wasn't Colors, but it was somewhat similar where it was someone would like talk about, like, they would just describe a movie. That was it. One person would describe a movie and everyone else would be at the opposite side of the pool. And then if you thought you knew the answer, you had to quickly swim to the other side and guess what the movie was. And if you got it right, then you won. But it would be like a race to do that. And I guess like trivia, I guess it was what it would equate to. I know there was I don't think it was just as simple as it being called Movies, but I also feel like it just was called Movies. I cannot remember, but that was always a big one. And then there was one called like Spider, where one person was like in a corner and they were like holding onto the walls, like the corner walls like this, and you had to go under them and like behind and then back up without hitting like their legs or arms. And anytime that you got like you did it one loop, they would like they would get closer to the corner, and then you would do it again, and they'd keep getting closer and closer and closer. Pool games were more like my jam back in the day. That's really what hit for me.
We did just about every single pool game you can think of, except for those two. Actually, we did a lot of pool games that we could think of that we knew about. Because again, every single day we would go in water, cold, warm, rainy. As long as there wasn't lightning, we'd be swimming. Because what else are you gonna do?
Oh, I remember. I would get yelled at so many times because I mean, obviously just like running or whatever. But me and my friends would always play a game where it's just if the pool wasn't busy and no one was on the slide, because we'd have a slide and then we had a diving board.
Is this like a public pool?
Yeah, this is a public pool. I lived like 3 blocks away from it, so I would just walk over and like hang out with friends. If the pool wasn't busy, and especially the slide, what we would do was, or the diving board, we would all get into a line, and the person you were in front of, you had to tag, and the person behind you was trying to tag you. And everyone would quickly go down the slide and back around to try and tag the person in front of them, and you would keep going until there was like one person left. Or actually, no, 2, because it was always like hard after that. But like it was just, they would yell at us because we would be going down the slide at like 50 miles an hour, just like in a blink of an eye, and then somebody else would go like just and like almost like one would get down, they would just get up, and another one was about to come and hit them, like about to hit a brick wall, like.
Yeah, man, I never worked the slide so far in my lifeguarding career. I'm pale. I try to stay inside when I'm working 7-hour shifts. But pool games, what about sharks and minnows?
Yeah.
Well, that was a good one. I was really good. I talked about my little cousins that would come over. The younger one, I think he was the weaker source simply because he was the youngest.
Yeah.
And we had all been swimming for so many years before he started swimming that like the catch up needed to happen. And me and my brother got too old by the time. So whenever he was the shark, what we would do is we would swim to the bottom and across the bottom and up.
Okay.
Because he couldn't go down that deep. Randomly,
one summer day, played it last year. I don't know why, but like a friend of mine from home, like that I hadn't talked too much with. But like I was like, I'm chill with him and stuff. He was like, yeah, I'm just gonna gather some people. Do you want to like play like kickball? We had a baseball pitch, like a field, and he's like, yeah, do you and a bunch of people want to play like kickball, and then we'll hang out, stuff like that. And we're like, all right. So we played kickball, and it was actually like pretty fun. I wasn't great at it, but that you're just there to have fun. It's different doing like something like that for fun versus like in like actual school or something. Because I remember this would have still been freshman year. In high school for me, gym was required your freshman and sophomore year.
Ours was just freshman.
Okay, we were required to have it freshman and sophomore year. And I remember my brother had taken like, I guess it was an elective, but I guess it was like the strength class or whatever. He took that. I did one like my cousin was in sophomore gym, and then I was in freshman. I remember one day, for some reason, my gym teacher decided, all right, it's going to be seniors versus freshmen in kickball. And my brother and I had gym at the same time. And I distinctly remember when the seniors were told that, banged open the doors. And he's like, Luke, I'm coming for you. And I just kind of sat there being like, all right. I'm like, all right, I'm not doing all that. But I remember we were playing, and it was my turn to kick the ball in what you would do in kickball. And I had missed, and I was like, okay, roll it back. Rolls it again. I missed again. or like I hit it and it like it went to the side
Foul
or
ball.
something. Yeah, foul ball. I was like, all right, roll it again. I missed a third time. And then the coach was like, all right, we're going to have somebody else go. And I went to the back of the line. Embarrassing. I could not live up to that. I lost so much social credits from.
You're really focused on the social credit.
Listen. It's high school. That's, like that was, and especially freshman year, like that, it was tense. It was a dog eat dog world. All right. I will say this. I do think that like it kind of makes sense why there isn't like a gaga ball pit at like a high school or middle school or like recess or something. Because like there's elementary school recess is different, but like middle school where there's a bunch more kids.
In middle school.
Yeah, 6th through 8th grade. Yeah, not like it was like a bit during like lunch. We would have lunch
Are
and
you
then
both from Delco?
yeah, or I'm not. Wait, I am. I mean, I will say there was always one kid that would like win consecutively, and like it would be hard.
Did you kick him out?
No, we didn't.
I think sometimes when we had too many kids, if you were good at it and you survived so long, you sit out the next one.
Yeah, that would have been a smarter thing to do, and we were dumb children.
Did a counselor watch you guys at the summer camp?
Probably from a distance. Like
that's how I watch children.
Yeah, it was definitely from a distance. It was never like they weren't adamantly there.
No referee.
Yeah, and I mean the same kind of applied for like in recess and stuff like that. See, while everyone was playing like Foursquare, and tag, I was eating flowers, and I was eating flowers. I'm not kidding. There was like a specific flower that like
buttercup.
Yeah, I was eating the buttercups. Yeah, I was eating the buttercup flowers because I heard that they tasted good, and then I kept eating them, and I'm like, yeah, they're all right. They're not too bad. Like
we had buttercup flowers in the yard as well, and some student told me they taste like buttercups, and then there was also this tree with similar yellow flowers that we just thought were tree buttercups that hung over into the yard, and we would eat those too.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Is that just like a normal? Comment down below if you also ate flowers at recess.
If you ate a bunch of buttercups when you were little.
Or just flowers you thought were buttercups.
All right. I think that's probably where we're going to end it here for this episode. We definitely sidetracked a bit, but we had amazing stories to make up for it, I think.
I will say my argument was better because I talked more about tag.
That's cool and all, but also gaga ball. That's
Counterpoint. Every single tag game ever.
Listen,
you don't need a gaga.
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
That's the thing though with gaga ball. It's that you don't need to make all these different versions. It's beautiful the way it is. All you need is a fenced area, a bit of dirt or wood chips, a ball, and your two hands. That's all you need.
The real kicker is that wooden fence.
Yeah. There was something about it being a wooden fence that I'm like, okay, that's gaga ball. I knew it was time. What else
was it supposed to be? Metal? Plastic?
I mean, just a fenced area, really.
Don't you start on the wall?
Yeah.
A barbed wire gaga ball.
Yeah, it would not... I don't think it would be a barbed wire fence, just going like, there's just touching it and then starting. It would not be a barbed wire fence. Mm-hmm. But all right, I think that's where we're going to end it here for today's episode. Let us know in the comments below who you think had a better argument, and also what game you remember playing as a kid and that should be brought back.
Give us suggestions. Maybe we'll post a video of us doing the weirdest one.
We'll find out. We'll see. But that's it for...
We're about to play tag in the trees.
You're right. Yeah, we're going to climb trees again. And it's only pine trees.
Only pine trees.
Only pine trees.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.